Good morning. Monday, Pashas Tzaf. As Hashem will continue further on the discussion we did yesterday. The importance of training the child how to positively suppress the desires. As I mentioned yesterday, that number one that's called number one thing which prevents kids, bochrim, kids, everyone, male and female, to achieve their goals in life. It's because they weren't trained at the younger years how to suppress positively, how to suppress their desires. Again, when I say when we talk and discuss how important to suppress the desires, I don't mean to say that the parent right now has to go suppress the desires of a child by controlling or condemning or criticizing the child, or using any kind of verbal abuse or physical abuse to suppress the desires of a child. No, absolutely not. That this kind of behavior will not suppress the desires of a child, but just opposite, will escalate the desires of a child. This amazing and powerful, significant workshop of training how to suppress the desires needs to be done very pleasantly, very gently. As I said yesterday, of course, when the child is asking for a candy or for a cake or anything else, it should be given to him. And there's no reason why we should hold back child of receiving the candies or cakes or whatever it is, but not right away. Meaning to say, it was suppressing at the moment the desire of the child, but he'll get later. Suppressing the desires of child, meaning suppressing the expectations of receiving right away the desires. Although we should give desires later on, but that expectations of receiving and fulfilling the desires of the child right away, it's something that needs to be worked. It's something the child needs to be trained. It's not only the boys, it's the girls as well. It's very significant, very powerful, significant exercise that needs to be implemented to kids if we want our kids to be successful later on in life. As I said, I would like to make it very clear that it's number one problem which prevents people of succeeding and achieving their goals and achievements in life is because people don't know how to suppress the desires, meaning they weren't trained how to suppress their expectations of receiving their desires right away. As I said before yesterday, the etzem in truth, lack of this lack of this understanding, lack of this the exercise, the training, it's something which reflects on our relationship with Hashem, because we do stuff, we do mitzvahs, and Hashem also promising to us that He will fulfill our desires and He will provide us with all of His goodness. He'll give us everything. However, sometimes we need to wait for that. So people get very upset at Hashem when they do certain things and certain kabbalah, certain mitzvahs, and unfortunately their expectations weren't met, and they did not get momentarily the results. So it certainly causes conflict. It arises a conflict with Hashem, relation with Hashem. So we want our kids to remain, and ourselves also, with Hashem, and to have a tight connection with Ribono Shel Olam. We need to train ourselves and our kids as well how to suppress the expectations of receiving our desires right away. If we think, and let's imagine what's the criteria of a normal person, of a healthy person, emotionally balanced person. What's the criteria? The criteria of an emotionally healthy person is when the person able to fit in in the settings, and he can live his life and the circumstances that he's in. That's what the healthy person is. Healthy person, again, is someone who sees the life, and he fits in himself, in his circumstances, his people he is around, his matzav, his circumstances of life. That's the healthy person. He knows how to work, how to grow, how to utilize, how to use, and how to live, how to thrive in these circumstances that he is in now. That's the healthy person. That's the normal person. Majority of people, some people have more of the strength to fit in themselves in the circumstances that they're in the life circumstances that they're in. Some people are have less strength, but a healthy person understands that that's the life circumstances, the circumstance that I am in, and I have to use it. I have to use it. I have to use it and grow from it and do whatever I can do. Mefinik, it's the person who is not able to fit in himself in the circumstance that he is in. The mitzi is he can't fit in, he can't create his life, he can live a life, he can create the life, he can't find himself being successful, living a life in the life circumstance that he is in. That's the mefinik, and that's not healthy. That's not healthy. Mefinik is someone, we think that mefinik, we have totally different understanding what mefinik is, but mefinik is a shtickle emotional disease that needs to be, people need to work on it. Mefinik is someone he never created the breaks that when he has that desires and breaking on that desires and suppressing and understanding that, okay, I put the desires right there on the side and let me focus on achieving my goal. Mefinik is someone who never developed that breaks, understanding that it's a break right now and put my desires aside versus to go and achieve my goals. We can see it very clearly, not even at the kids, but even adults also. Adults have insane tendencies to schmooze, to watch, and to do stuff. So these desires, because they don't know how to break it, how to suppress it, prevents them of achieving. A child that's a bocher, which is a mefinik, in truth it doesn't really matter how smart he is, how capable he is. He won't succeed, because every single the time and moments and minutes and hours people have desires. So you just follow up with his desires, and he won't succeed. Also, it's very important to know that part of having good relationship with the spouse, marriage life, has much to do with this concept of knowing how to suppress the desires. Self-understood. When a person gets married to a wife, and when people get older, and the wife does not that beautiful wife anymore, that young lady anymore, people start to think certain machshavazuras. So and certainly if a person is not aware of this concept, that he wasn't trained to suppress his desires, he will find himself doing stuff which is inappropriate stuff. So it's a key. That's the foundation in every human life. If a person wants to live a good life, pleasant life, significant life full of joy and achievements in any area, and in areas of which associated with religion, areas associated with secular world, an area of having good relationship with the spouse or with kids, it needs to do this. Number one, it's knowing and training yourself how to suppress the desires, meaning suppressing the expectations of receiving the desires momentarily. Also, suppressing your desires, which is inappropriate desires. And it's sad to see how there's capable people, very smart, very wise people, young people, older people, because they're not aware if they're not trained, not well trained how to suppress the desire, they're just lost in their lives. They're lost in their life in all areas. So, but listen, it's never too late. It's part of what we call chiva. That's exactly chiva is. So, we can always we take upon ourselves to work on it, and it works. Let's make the other half of our life better than the first half. Some Rishonim explain, therefore, because it's so important for a person to be trained how to suppress the desires, therefore we'll find that there is more lavim than asay. There is Shin Samahai 365 lavim versus 248 assays. Why it's more lavim than assays? So some Rishonim explained because it's far more important to loisa say, to suppress the desires. You will grow way more than asay than to do. And truth is, when the child, in the first day a person comes to this world, he is born with this urge of having pleasures, constantly. And if it's as young as the child is, as easier, of course, it's to work on it, how and train him to control, master his desires, to channel his power, encourage the child to push away, to suppress the expectations of receiving the desires momentarily, and Bachlal expecting to go to have desires. It's we think that the stamazoi, we think that the desire is taivas. It's a concept which is associated with religion only. However, it's absolutely not. Lahavdil in psychological world, one of the big workshops that the most advanced psychological the medicine provides, it's to train the patient how to suppress the desires, because the world, whatever the Torah told us 2000 years ago, right now the most advanced psychology they're finding out right now, they also believe that part of the reason why people become psychologically disordered is also because they're not trained how to suppress the desires, and therefore they feel the way they feel, and they find themselves in the place they find themselves. So taivas, redifus achara taivas, is not a concept which basically associated only with religion. Is a concept, is a global concept which provides a person just to live a good life. I'm sure that everybody, including myself, if we look into our lives, we'll see how much time we wasted and how much achievements we did not achieve because we were very much in tune with our desires. Sometimes there is, really it starts, as I said before, because the day the child comes to this world, he already comes with that ingrained tendency to have pleasures. We see it like when they bring the baby from hospital home, so the baby cries. So there is the mothers don't have koyach to hear the baby cry. They want to sleep. So every 2 hours they just feed the baby. Feed the baby. Then when the baby becomes 1 or 2 years old, it's very hard to train the baby to go to a normal routine. Of course not, because the baby got trained that he gets his desires being pleased momentarily. So at age 1 or 2, the baby wakes up at 5 times in the morning because he's expecting that his desire of being fed will be fulfilled. So it's not really a favor. Versus the better way will be, let the baby little cry, not too long, but let the baby cry. Let's say the mother should estimate timing how much the baby needs to eat every every 3 hours, whatever it is, and just feed the baby of 3 hours. And if the baby wakes up in between, let the baby little cry and calm down the baby different ways by massaging the baby, or just calm down the baby without feeding the baby, because then you prevent the baby to go in that mode and adopt that routine of when I cry, I get right away. When I cry, I get right away. And it's important. It's very important. If you want the reason why we see the kids can go to sleep on time, the kids can go sleep on time is because they weren't trained at young years how to suppress the desires. It's so important. It's so important. It's very important. Conducting the business, being a ben Torah, to living a good life is to train yourself to suppress your desires. The world is not a perfect world. The world was never meant to be perfect. The world was never meant to be perfect. There's always ups and downs in this world. A healthy person knows how to fit in the settings and the life circumstances that life gives him, Hashem gives him, and he grows from it. A mephinek, it's someone who is not able to fit in himself in the settings and the life circumstances he is in. He's always thinking this shul is not good, this yeshiva is not good, this work, this job is not good, this is not good. He always desires something else. This wife is not good, my wife is not good, my kids are not good. My brother's wife is better, my brother's kids are better. So the mephinek is someone who's constantly has that vulnerability to just to be in misery, Remember, that's the criteria of being a healthy person. A healthy person always finds how to grow, how to utilize the settings and life circumstances that he is in. Non-healthy person, emotionally healthy person, is someone who is not able to fit himself in the settings and life circumstances that he is in. And it's just awareness. It's awareness. I think that will be a good explanation to a Gemara. Gemara is saying in Masechtas Nedarim that we should respect kids who are coming from poor homes, because from poor people, Torah comes from poor people, not from rich people. I think the reason for it will be simple. The explanation according to what we say. Poor people, they're people who don't, they're very well trained how to suppress their desires. So therefore, the goals are very, very clear to them, and they have very strong strengths to. There's no distractions for them to achieve their goals, because there's no desires. Therefore, the Torah comes down from the poor homes versus the rich people. The rich people always have they always are being on the thinnig and always being in these desires, and they spend a lot of times on their desires. Today is in Florida, tomorrow is in this hotel, that hotel. Pesach is in Arizona and the Florida, and of course we expose our kids to this kind of desires. To take a child to for Pesach to Arizona or to whatever it is, to Florida, to expose child to such a luxury vacation. I'm not talking about right now Toiradik only. Toiradik, it's even talking about the psychological. There's no really chance that don't expect your child to become a shtikol ben Torah to succeed in yeshiva, because once desires is like a candy. Once he tried, he thinks, he wants, and once we explore such a level of desires to a child, certainly is decreasing his goal of achieving and becoming a true ben Torah. I'm not saying right now whether it's right, whether it's wrong. People can do whatever they want. It's not really. It's about the psychologically it has a certain impact on child. So don't get upset. Once the child went to Arizona, to Florida, else to any other places, luxury vacations, or they went for the trips to Florida, or whatever it is, any kind of very luxury, high-end places, don't be upset later on that the child becomes home, doesn't want to learn. Of course not, because his brain is full of desires right now, and he wants more. It's not only by money, it's any kind of desires. You got big desire and I want a bigger desire. So right now to go to Arizona or to Florida or to whatever it is, it's not already I call desire for him. because he already experienced that. So give him some more. Yesh lamon roitzu v'sayim goes any kind of desire. We can do it, but we should not expect, and we should not get upset at the child. It's not the yosher. It's not the yosher. We'll take a child and expose the child to such a desire, and we'll come back. We'll still expect the child to become a tribunal. It just contradicts. Just doesn't go. And besides that, we're training in the child to be a mephinik. A healthy person, emotionally healthy person, understands that that's my home, that's my place, and I fit myself in my life circumstances, and I make paisa of whatever I am right now. I don't have to look for different places to enhance my yom tov or enhance my spirits. Just being on that thrilling, on that moment, in that place I am now, my settings. That's why I am. I will suppress my desire just because I want to grow from the settings I am now, right? I wouldn't call that. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't call it everybody goes to vacation. They're emotionally not so good, but certainly people who go so frequently somewhere, they need to get the guidance how to free themselves from the reasons which pushes them to go and look for different places. So that's the rule, and that's the very significant exercise in training ourselves how to suppress desires, and training our kids be a partner with the child. Help yourself and help your child to live a better life by suppressing your desires and suppressing the expectations that desires should be fulfilled momentarily. I would like to go. I would like to discuss another nikuda that is also important. Don't get me wrong that I'm trying to say that suppress the desire, just confiscate all kind of desires for the child. Of course not. You give the child whatever he wants, whatever he needs, whatever he wants is according to the parents' judgments what the child's needs or not. It's of course needs to be given to him, but not right away. Not right away. Train child to wait patiently. Patience, misinus, wait. And waiting, of course, everything has to do with the brain capacity of the child, has to do with the age. Of course, 1 minute, 2 minutes, everything has to do with what needs to be done with the seichel. But there is depriving the child completely of having pleasures. It's also not well. It's very not good. It can lead child to become apathy. Apathy, I will explain what apathy is. When the child gets a sense of that my parents are confiscating, they're not giving to me whatever I want, whatever I need. Of course, when I say whatever I want, I don't mean to say that whatever he wants. I mean whatever he needs to have according to their status, according to according to the life circumstances. When the child is always getting no, it's certainly brainwashing the child that I'm not being wanted. It's they left me. My parents are leaving me alone. I'm already tired of begging my parents to give me. It's certainly the child, his internal matzav, his internal being and being shut down. That's what we call apathy. Apathy is lack of motivation to do anything, or just don't care about what's happening around him. Sometimes we see kids are spacing out in class. They're not interested in gurnish and nothing. They're not interested in playing and talking and eating and associating, socializing. They're not interested in anything. That's what we call apathy. A lack of motivation to do anything. It doesn't have any kind of cheshik, any kind of desire. He's not going to ask anything. He's not going to say anything. Everything is good. Everything is fine. Just as we say, he gave up. It doesn't, and also it leads to a different problem, that the child is losing the trust to people. Meaning to say, he's very skeptical. Very skeptical if is he being loved by others, if he's even wanted by others. is very skeptical. There's no trust. It's only trust. The trust is a very best. We'll talk about it. Trust is it's a very important component to be able to live a life, because if you don't have trust, you can't have a roof, you can't have a mentor, you can't live a life with your spouse, because you don't trust, no trust. A person does not know everything. He needs to trust the guidance of his roof, and needs to trust the guidance of his mentor, of his mashpia. Certainly need to have a trust in your spouse. You can't just monitor your spouse constantly. It becomes critical, very critical. A person is not expressing himself, is not wanting anything, he does not trust anyone. He becomes a self-critical person, self-negative critical person, and this is not good. The main source of this disease, emotional disease, is because the child was deprived constantly of having what he needs to have. And that's what we call in a medical world being called apathy. So here we got there's two extremes. One is mephinic, one is apathy. Mephinic is not going to be able to achieve his goals in life because his desires constantly distracting him and ripping his focus on his goals. So therefore he won't be able to achieve. Now the apathy is someone who's not interested in any kind of goals. It doesn't have any kind of goals. Doesn't have a trust. It doesn't have a desire for goodness, for nothing. Doesn't have a goodness desire, no desires whatsoever. So you have two extremes coming from two different sources, and both of them are very devastated factors. Factors which is preventing the child just to become nobody in life. So it might be even apathy is slightly worse than mephinic, because apathy just becomes nobody, and the mephinic will maybe become a car service driver, but both of them will experiencing definitely very, 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 very big, humongous internal pain, and it's something which we need to be aware of that, and we need to be in tune with this emotional roller coasters, let's call it. I will give it two components how to build. Let's first focus on the mephinic. Mephinic, besides the external presentation to a child by making him wait a minute or 2 minutes before he gets his desires, also there's a talk, the way we talk to a child. The talk contains two strains. Number one is seichel, and number two, iras ha'oinish. Chazal will find a lot of times the Chazal constantly encouraging the seichel, iras ha'oinish. Meaning to say, again, this is besides the external work. Of course, it has to do with the child's brain development. But when the child gets, his brain gets developed, becomes more wiser, more wider. So we need to constantly talk and tell the child cycle. It's we have designated sheet for this. Cycle is plain simple understanding how much desires are negatively affecting the life of human. It should be presented to a child, of course, on theoretic perspective, theoretic outlook, but also make the child understand that the truth is it's theoretic taka. You become higher theoretic, but it's not only this concept. It's not only associated with religion. It's associated with the life. Taivas destroying the human's life, and that's the cycle. Cycle is providing the child with the knowledge how negatively the desires affecting the life, and how much expectations of getting your desires momentarily affecting the human life. That's the cycle knowledge. Then there is iras ha'oinish, meaning to say, explaining the child, bringing child examples, what kind of consequences the child will need to experience when he goes and when he follows up with his desire after his desires. It's okay for a parent to expose him or herself to a child and bring your life examples, how you suffered and how you had the consequences because you just went blindly after your desires. And it will certainly bring the awareness to a child that there is a consequence when you go and you follow up with your desires. So there's many two strains here. Strain called seichel, it provided the knowledge, and then iras oynish, the explaining, it presents the child the consequences, potential consequences of following up after desires. And this external workshop, but make child wait not too long, but certain timing, everything according to the brain development, according to age, number one. And number two, it's talking with the child, communicating with the child verbally by giving the seichel, niras oynish, knowledge, and also the consequences, potential consequences, which child can have as shown if you follow up after desires. And that's with the time we see that how the child and parent himself will get to receive a self-mastery being a shoilet on himself, and it would just free the person of any kind of psychological hijacking the psychological, emotional problems. A person becomes a master. He becomes a master what you experience. You become a master how you feel, and it's very good feelings. And it is good. Besides the good feelings, it also helps us and our kids to achieve our goals and to live a very good life, a life full of joy, happiness, and success. Be'ez Hashem will continue tomorrow. Kol tov to everyone. Hatzlacha Rabbi.